Hey, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
What
Good
was the
evening.
last discussion?
Yeah, last time we discussed about the hot observables. As a part of that, we have covered subject and different types of subject like trivial subject, replay, async, and play with some the examples also like passing data from one place to other place. Some
Any
examples.
doubt from that?
No, we did some play around with those things with the course and it's fine.
Okay. Okay. If anyone has any question, I'll be happy to take that before I start something else.
One of the example I was having some course issues, so maybe we can discuss some time later.
Yeah, you are
Otherwise,
trying one URL and one of the URL is throwing you course issue.
yeah.
Yeah, for now, don't try that. Try something else. So they have some validation added from the backend.
So I was doing the switch map example. So that URL was giving me course issue.
Which API you are trying there?
The same API that you tried.
How come it was working for me and for you it was not?
Yeah, it's not. I don't know why.
Can you tell me the API name, the
Okay,
company
let
name?
me. Okay, 1 second. Where I use it.
It's not JSON placeholder, right?
No. Let me share my screen and I'll show you.
Yeah.
So it's on the this one. And this is the one.
Okay. Swapi. Can you try to hit it from browser once?
From browser, there is no issue probably. I think
Browser, there is no issue. When you try to hit from Angular application, there is issue.
Yeah, yes, right.
How come I was able to hit? I didn't do
So
any
let
configuration
me
changes.
put something.
Yeah.
Oh, now it's not a problem. This is from the browser.
Yeah.
This is from the browser. And what we do?
Type Luke.
You see here, course policy.
Oh, okay.
So anyhow, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. For now, we can try with some other URL. Let me see what is the issue. Yeah.
That's fine. I'll fix it.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. Now we'll understand what is the next topic then. Yeah, we are good to start with forms. So today we will start with a new topic called form. We all know why we use form. Forms are used to collect the data from user. So whenever we are collecting the data from the user, we use form. In Angular, we can create form in two ways. I mean, there are two APIs using which we can create forms. We have template driven form and we have model driven form. In Angular, we have two type of forms. One is template driven form. The second one is model driven form. If you ask me why we have two type of forms, template driven and model form, which one is better? The answer is pretty simple. When we have a static amount of fields or we have simple use cases, we go with template driven form. When we have complex use case, we don't know how many fields will be there in a form. Dynamically, we are generating the number of forms, the type of input elements. Then we go with reactive form. Reactive form or model driven form, it is just a synonym. First one is template driven form. It is used for uh, it is used to create a form where we know how many fields will be there, what type of fields will be there. If it is a simple login form or some simple form, we can use template driven form. We use model driven form where we don't know how many fields will be there in the form, or we want to repeat a form again and again, or uh, we write some logic to display the form. Then we go with model driven form. It has another name called reactive form. Yeah, if we try to compare theoretically how template driven form and model driven form are different, template driven forms are easy to use, suitable for simple use cases and fails in complex use cases. It uses two-way data binding using ng model syntax. Template driven form will have minimal component code and more HTML code. It will automatically track the form and its data. For template driven form, we need forms module. These are the points to be remembered while dealing with template driven form. Yeah. What are the limitations with template driven form? Yes, template driven form has some limitations also. If we try to understand what are the limitations with template driven form, yes, unit testing is a challenge. As most of the things will be written in HTML file, we cannot write unit testing for most of the logics. Limited capabilities to implement dynamic aspects like variable number of fields. We don't know how many fields will be there in a form. I want to write a for loop and I want to generate the form. That we cannot do with template driven form. Repetitive fields. So these are the use cases which we cannot achieve easily in template driven form. For this kind of use cases, we have better option called reactive form. The second one is model driven form. It has another name called reactive form. Yeah, reactive form is always better than template driven form. There is no doubt at all. It is more flexible. It can handle any scenario. It doesn't use data binding. It will have more component code and less HTML code. We can add elements dynamically. We will have better unit testing. It supports creation of form with dynamic structure at runtime. We can dynamically create a form. And it uses a module. The module name is reactive forms module. For template driven form, we use a module. The module name is forms module. For model driven form, we use a module. The module name is reactive forms module. Forms module and reactive forms module. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
No, fine.
So we call two API, right? Like you mentioned two API were used.
No, maybe I'm talking about these two modules. If I told API by mistake, those two APIs are forms module and reactive forms module. They are modules. They are not APIs. They are modules.
Okay.
Yeah. Or we can say type of form.
Yeah. And why they are also observable? You earlier mentioned that everything is observable. These are also observable.
These are not observable. When you click on a button, that button click will give you observable. When you when you type something in an input box, what are you typing in the input box? If you want to keep an eye, you can easily do that. That input box will be one observable for you. Every time you type something, if you subscribe to that input box, you will get a new value every time you type,
Okay, okay. We'll see one
right?
give example. Yeah, yeah.
We will see once we start with examples.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Next, with this, I will start with a simple example. Let me start with a simple example. The simplest example is this one. I'm creating a simple form with two input fields. What I will do is I'll create a component. I'll create a component. The component name is form demo 1. Form demo 1 is a component. Form demo 1 is a component. Form demo 1 is a component. I'll go to center component. In center component, I'll enable app form demo 1. Now if I run my application, it should say form component is working. Yeah. In this form demo 1, I will add a form. This is a simple form. We have been creating form from HTML onwards. So we know how to create form. So this is the simplest form I'm creating. We have a form. This form has two input fields. This form has two input fields. And we are using ng model here. Form name equal to my form, input name equal to username, ng model equal to name. It's a required field. Input name equal to user age, ng model equal to age. It will throw me error. I have to declare those two variables. I will go to form demo 1 component.ts. In form demo 1 component.ts, I will declare name is a string is equal to age is a number equal to 0. I have some default value. Now it should show a form with the two things. Yeah. Now take a look at this HTML file and let me know if something is not clear. Do you have anything new here? No, right? Everything we know, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, here there is nothing new. We know all these things. We are aware of all these things. So what are we going to discuss here? We are going to discuss what all class names that are being added to this input box. If you inspect here, we didn't do anything, but somehow lot of class names are added. Here. And what are the class names that are added? ng pristine, ng invalid, ng touched. Okay, you see, form has a lot of class names. ng pristine, ng invalid, ng touched. Input box has class names. The first input box has few class names. The class names are ng untouched, ng pristine, ng invalid. So who did add all these class names? Did we add anywhere?
No.
So who did add all these class names? Angular internally adds these class names for us. And why Angular is adding all these class names for us? Because it will be easy for us to understand what is going on with one input box, what is going on with a form. All these things we can easily track. And Angular tells us that our first input box is untouched. Untouched means user has not yet touched. Pristine means nothing is done with this input box. It's not yet modified. Invalid means it is invalid. There is some validation added and this input box is not meeting one of the validation. If you check the second input box, what all class we have? ng untouched, ng pristine, ng valid. Because there is no required added here. If I add required and I don't pass any value, it will be invalid again. Okay, forget about that. Let's concentrate about the first input box. This input box has untouched, pristine, and invalid. As soon as I go and type something, so you see, pristine got changed to dirty. Pristine got changed to what?
Dirty.
Dirty. Pristine got changed to dirty. And invalid got changed to valid. You see?
Right.
When we delete, again the class names are changing, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So it's automatically handled by Angular. We do nothing here. From these class names, we can easily track what is going on with one input box, what is going on with a form. We can easily track that. So here, if I want to add some CSS, I'll say input dot, the class name is ng invalid. If I have ng invalid class, ng invalid, then border 5 pixel solid red. If the input box has valid class, then it should be green. So this is how we can easily control the things. When I go and type, the border turns to green. When I delete, it turns to red. So it becomes easier for us to understand what is going on with this input box, what is going on with a form. Let's understand. Yes, there are few classes we have in Angular. Angular takes care of those class names. First is ng pristine. When there is no user interaction occurred, not yet modified, it's a fresh input box. That input box will have ng pristine class. ng dirty, user interaction occurred or modified. If you go and modify, that input box will have ng dirty class. ng valid, it meets all the validation. ng invalid, one of the validation is not meeting. ng touched, already touched. When you perform blur, see, I'll refresh. When I check, it will say both of the input boxes are untouched. See, this is untouched. This is also untouched. When I go and type, when we go and type, the pristine will change to dirty, but untouched will still be untouched. When I type, you can see the pristine got changed to dirty, but it is still untouched. When it will be touched? When you come out of this input box, when you click outside, when you come out of this input box, untouched will be touched. Understood?
Yes.
Yes.
The second one is still untouched and pristine. When you go and change, the pristine will change to dirty. But when you come out of this input box, it will be touched. Got it? So all these things we have to remember. And we do nothing here. Internally, Angular does a lot of things behind this screen. So a lot of class names will be added to your input box. From those class names, you can easily find out what is going on with the input box. Yes. This should be the very first example. And are we clear what all class names we have in Angular and how Angular adds those class names, when Angular adds those class names, when it removes?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. This is regarding the class, how internally Angular adds. Next, we will start with one template driven form. If I want to create a template driven form, if I want to create a template driven form, what all things we have to do? For that, I'll create another component. The component name is form demo 2. Form demo 2 is another component. In form demo 2, I'll create a template driven form. Yes. If you want to create a template driven form, we have to follow all these steps. We have to follow all these steps. What are the steps? Point 1, import forms module to our module. This is must. Yeah, we don't have to do it. It is already done. You can see forms module is already added. If it is not added, if it is a new project, please add this. Yeah. So these are the things which we need. Point 1, our module is dependent on forms module. Second, in view file, when I say view file, it is HTML file. In view file, use ng form directive with forms template reference variable. If you follow step by step, it's not a big deal. It's pretty simple. We have to create a form. We have to give our name and we have to use ng form. Ng form is a predefined directive we have to use with our template reference variable name. Now I'm creating a form. My form is equal to ng form, which is predefined, which is user defined.
Template
My
defined
form is user
variable.
defined.
My form is user defined and the form is
Yeah. Then 2A is done. 2B, use ng model directive with every input field. Use ng model directive with every input field. We have to add ng model with every input box. So let me show you. I'll create a paragraph. In this paragraph, I'll write first name and I'll create a input box. Input name equal to first name ng model. It's a predefined word. Then last name is equal to input name is last name ng model. So like this, we can add n number of input boxes with ng model. Not only input boxes, we can have drop down, we can have radio button, checkbox, we can have anything. We can have text area, anything.
So this is not the ng model of the 2A binding, right?
No, this is not ng model 2A binding.
What is this called? This particular word, ng model?
This is a directive.
We write it in the place of form, template driven form.
Correct. Then 2A and 2B is done. Then now if I print this much, I'll print this much. I will say my form dot value. If I print like this, I'll be able to print my form's information. See, my form has two fields, first name and last name. If I type something, I'm able to collect whatever I'm typing in those input boxes. So how did I do it? I'm creating a form with my form and ng form. For every input box, we have to use a name. Whatever name you use in that object, this will be a key. This will be key and the value will be whatever you type in the input box. This is as simple as that. Now, if I want first name, last name, I want another thing called email. I want email. If I want email, here I'll say email. Now I want to add address. I want to add address. In that address, suppose I want address. In address, what I want, address will be again one object. In that address object, again there will be three things. One is street name, city name, pin code. If you have such things, how are we going to handle? How are we going to create object inside object? If you want that, use ng model group to group multiple ng model. We have ng model group. We have ng model group. So what we will do here? What we will do? We will create a field set. I hope you know what is field set. It is just used to create a box kind of thing inside a form. Inside field set, we can add. Inside field set, we can add legend and all. I think you people are aware of this. Let me know if you are not aware. Don't hesitate to ask if something is not known. Field set and legend.
Bootstrap, right?
This is from HTML.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, you can quickly.
Only, right? HTML5.
Text area, field
Yeah,
set,
HTML
input group.
field set. Yeah. So if you want a group, use field set. Yeah, something like this. You see? Fine. So this is used just to create a grouping. So field set and legend. In legend, I'll add address. This is just to get a better look and feel, nothing else. I could have used a simple paragraph, div, anything I could have used. Now inside this, I will use street name. Street name is input box with street. Then city is city. Pin is pin. Now if I go and refresh my page,
Yeah, and is not completed.
All is not in there.
Number 21. Line number 21.
Yeah. Line number 20, close the field set.
so you can see now I have first name, last name, email, but street, city address, street, city, pin are also part of the same object. We don't want that, right? Do you want like this? No. We want a nested object. If we want a nested object, here we will use ng model group is equal to address. So when we do like that, address becomes a nested object. First name something, last name something, email something, street something, city something, pin something. Do you see? Any question here?
So can you go back to the code?
Yeah.
So first of all, I was thinking the page will give error because you didn't define the field name in the TS file like we do. Without the field name, it gives an error.
Yeah, very good catch. So template driven form takes care of that. It is not expecting you to declare all these variables because if you see here, I'm reading the value from my form, and my form internally, if I print my form has all these things. My form is one object. This my form is having all these fields created inside that object. So template driven form takes care of that. We don't have to do anything. That is why it's not that good like model driven form. So here we don't have to do anything. This is enough. But we will also understand when we have to declare variable in the TS file. This time we are not doing.
Even my form also we are not declaring, just reading from the template.
Even my form we are not declaring. That's true. Even my form we are not declaring.
And the second question is, on every input, you have name equal to something, name equal to something.
Huh.
So is it a predefined keyword
No.
name or?
Name is a predefined word. If you don't write name here, your object will not be created properly here. So when I removed name from email, now in my object, I don't have email. If you want something in email, if you in the form, if you want email, you have to add name. Name is a must property. Every input box should have, because in the name, whatever name you give, ng form is creating one object by using all your names. If name is not there, it will not be creating one property inside the object. My form will not have email.
And we are using this JSON pipe just to make it JSON.
Yeah, if I don't use JSON pipe, then it will print object. I cannot read that.
We can convert it to JSON and then somehow we can do it, but UI we are doing directly.
Yeah. If I have to pass this data to TypeScript, it's not a big deal. But here in HTML, I'm changing it to JSON format. And name is must for every input box. If you don't add name, it's kind of no use of adding this field. Name is must.
So now this one by one, all the input boxes are a type of observable. I mean, somehow they return a type of observable inside the value.
Yes.
Like my form dot first name, that is a kind of
Yeah.
observable. Okay.
Yes. Kind of. Are we good to continue now?
Yes.
Yes.
Now we didn't do anything in TS. What we did do, we just added this. This is the powerful thing. When we add this part, automatically Angular is doing a lot of things behind the scene. So what it is doing, it is creating a my form. Then inside my form, it is adding first name as a key, last name as a key, email as a key, address as a key, and doing a lot of things for us. Now what I'll do, I'll add a required field here. This is a required field. When I add a required field, Angular will also keep track of that, whether it is filled or not. And let me add two buttons, input :submit, value equal to submit, input type reset, value equal to clear. Now you see there are two buttons, submit and clear, submit and clear, submit and clear. Okay, submit and clear buttons we have. Submit and clear buttons we have. Now, what is my requirement? My requirement is if the form has any issue, if the form has any problem, submit button should be disabled. Now it is enabled. You can see when I submit the form, it is submitting. So there is no validation at all. What I want, when I clear, it clears. My requirement is if my form has any problem, submit button should be disabled. In that case, what we can do, we can add a condition ng if my form is one object. It has a lot of things inside it. One is value. Second thing is is valid. My form dot valid. I think valid. If it is not valid, I'll check whether it is valid. Huh. I should have used disabled, right? Okay. We will disable or enable based on that flag. If it is invalid, if my form is invalid, disable it. So the form is disabled or not? Submit button.
Yes.
So this is the beauty of Angular form. So this my form has a lot of things. It will tell you whether your form is valid or not, your input box is valid or not. All these things you will be able to get it from this variable. Now, when I fill all these things, you see it's still disabled. But when I go and type something here, it becomes enabled because my main validation is added to first name. It's a required field. Okay, it's a required field. If I add another validation, min length equal to 5. So it's a required also, minimum 5 characters required. When I go and type A, B, C, D, it's still disabled. As soon as I type E, it becomes enabled. So you can add more than one validation for a input box. And all these things are tracked by Angular. We don't have to worry much. Are we clear?
Yes.
Yes. Now, suppose user will fill the form. Once user will fill the form, on click of submit button, you want to collect the data and send to an API. Can we do in HTML? No, right?
No.
We need help of TypeScript, right?
Yes.
In that case, what we will do, we will add a submit action. On submit, if user submits the form, call submit my form. This is predefined, this is user defined. Submit my form. Submit my form, I will write here. In submit my form, what we will pass? Let's say I'll pass my form. I'll pass my form. It's a user defined function. This is the form data. Here, submit my form is a function. It takes form data. Then I'll say console.log my form. Yeah. Now let's go here. Yeah, I think the data type is something problem. ng form. It should be of type ng form or else any. Yeah. Now first name is Sachin. Last name is Tendulkar. Email is something. Street is something. City is something. Pin code is something. Now when I click on submit, I'm able to pass the data from HTML. I'm passing my form. I'm collecting the my form data and printing in a console. If I'm able to print in a console, I can do whatever I want. I can pass the data to API also. Now when I submit, you can see this is my form. This is my form. This form is not a simple thing. It's one object. If you expand this, it has a lot of things. What all things it has? You see, it has a form, my form.form. That form has controls, then errors, null. Pristine, is it pristine, false? What is the status? Valid. What is the status change? You see event emitter. It's observable. Do you see? Do you see here?
Yes, yes.
It's observable.
Yes.
Is it touched? True. What is the value? This is the value. This is the value. Value changes. If value changes, I want to do something. If value changes, my form dot value changes, I want to do something. Every time user changes the value, I want to do something. You can, this value changes is one observable. It's one observable. So you can subscribe to this value changes. You can do like this. You can say, we'll see. We'll see in the next example. Let's make it simple to understand. In the next example, anyway, we are going to discuss this. When I submit, I'm able to get everything. Form dot value, if you say dot value, you will get everything. And other informations are also there. Is it valid? Is it, what is the value? What is the status? What is it pending? Is it pristine? Does it have any errors? Is it enabled? Is it disabled? Is it dirty? You can see everything, right?
Why they are in disabled mode? Like some shadow kind of.
Not sure.
Disabled.
Yeah. So sometimes what we do, we don't pass the whole object. We just pass the value information here. So when we pass only value in TS, we will get only form data and we can print that. No need to pass everything. We are able to print only the data. We are not interested with other information of that form. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes. But if we have multiple submit button, then
Ideally, in one input box, in one form, we will not have multiple submit buttons. We should have only one. One thing I would like to highlight here, if it is submit button, what I'm trying to explain here, any button inside a form is a submit button. You use input type equal to submit, it is a submit button. You write button A, you write button B, you write button C, all of them are submit buttons. So whatever button you click, it's a submit button. This is a submit button. This is a submit button. This is a submit button. So whenever we use button, we should use it outside the form tag. Please remember that. So this is not a submit button. This is a plain button. If you use any button inside a form, that is a submit button. If you want to act it as a plain button, please don't use inside form, use it outside the form. So this is, all of them are submit buttons, 1, 2, 3, but this is not a submit button, you see? Yeah, this is not a submit button. So if you want to have plain button, don't keep it inside a form. It will act like a submit button. That is why it is always recommended to use input type submit so that we clearly understand it's a submit button. Ideally, inside one form, we should have only one submit button. If you want to have buttons, keep plain buttons outside the form, not inside the form. Yes.
Input type reset is to not submit button. It's a reset type of thing. Right?
And input type reset is a reset button. Input type submit is a submit button, and every button inside a form is a submit button. Yeah. Any question? No. Then we'll go to next. We'll go to next thing. Template driven form we understood. Yeah. Now you can see we are able to print the complete form data. Yes, we are able to print the form data information, complete form. What if I want only one input box information? Only one input box information. First name. First name. What is there in first name? What do you think? Can we do it? My form dot first name. My form dot value dot first name.
If it is an object, we can get. Yeah, getting.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. We will understand what is form control and how to get access to form control object. Okay, let's understand. We can get access to the form control instance by assigning ng model by assigning ng model to the element. Yeah. What if I want to show some default value? Here I want to show some default value on page load. It should show some data. If it should show some data, it has to come from TS file. And if we have such requirement, whatever we have done so far, we are typing, whatever we type, we get that value. What if we want to show some default value, pre-filled value? If we have some pre-filled value, then we have to use form control. To access form control, we have to use, we can get access to the form control instance by assigning ng model to the element, something like this. Input type equal to text, name equal to first name, fname equal to ng model, and ng model. So extra thing here is fname equal to ng model. See, now you want to check what is the value of first name or whether first name has error or not. You want to check. How can we check? I want to check first name is valid or not. First name is invalid or not. What is the value that we have in first name? If we have such kind of requirement, we can just add another template reference variable in the input box. So when we add another template reference variable here, name is first name, has fname equal to ng model. When we do this, we have direct access to this input box. So what do you mean by direct access to this input box? I can refer to this input box just by writing fname. What does that mean? That means I can say fname dot value. What is the value that is typed in this fname? What is the value that is typed here? Then is it valid? Is it valid? Fname dot valid. So all these informations we will be able to get directly. What is the value? Value is empty. Is it valid? No, it's not valid. So when I go and type A, B, C, D, E, value is ABCD, valid is true. So we can access that input box directly just by adding this thing. If we don't add these, if I say first name, first name, first name, we will not have access. No. So what we have to do, if it is valid or not to check, I have to use my form dot value dot first name. Then my form dot controls dot first name dot valid. I think so. My form dot controls. Can we see what is there in controls? My form dot controls. Value valid. Let me do one thing. How to access? I'll see how to access. When we type something, submit my form. This is my form dot controls dot first name dot value or valid or like that. My form dot controls dot first name. My form dot controls dot first name dot valid. My form dot controls dot first name dot value. So this way I can achieve. My form doesn't exist. No, form. My form.
You wrote two times my form.
My form dot controls. Okay, what if I comment? Yeah. My form. This is my form. My form dot controls dot something. You can see, right? This is too much. If we don't want to do all those things, what we can do is we can simply say here, we can add something called first name, sorry, f name equal to ng model. Now we will have direct access to this f name. We can say f name dot value, f name dot valid, f name dot other things. If you want to see what is there in f name, just say f name with a JSON pipe. You will have lot of things here. If you have too much of JSON, it cannot convert. But yes, you can pass it to TS file and print how f name is looking like. Any question? The variable f name holds the reference to the first name form control. We can then access the properties of form control like value, whether it is valid or not, is valid, touched, and other information. Any question here? No question.
So
Next.
we need to attach this type of another template reference variable to all the fields. It's recommended.
Yes, yes.
Okay. But we are to not doing anything right with that because at the end of the day we are getting the my form and passing the data to the API from there.
When we will do validation, right, it
Acha,
will be useful.
acha, okay.
Next. Uh, Next, we will understand how to set predefined value in template driven form. There are two ways we can set the value of the form elements. One is two-way data binding. The second one is template reference variable. Two-way data binding is the recommended one. This is the recommended one. This is how we can have one object. And this is how we can use. So what we will do, first of all, we will have one user object. Let's have one user object. We will have one user object. User is one object. In this user object, we will have first name, Sachin, and other things we can declare letter, first name. Let's declare only last name, email, then address. Address again will have street, street, city, pin. Yeah. Now this much is not enough. We have to create a structure here. We have to create a structure, and in HTML also we have to use ng model. In HTML also we have to use two-way binding. How? Input name equal to first name, ng model. This is for this is we use for sure. Then we will use ng model equal to two-way data binding. So here we will use two-way data binding. Ng model equal to user dot first name, user dot first name. You see, Sachin is pre-filled. So when we reload, Sachin is pre-filled.
So we can use placeholder.
We can use
Placeholder.
placeholder. Yeah, we can every HTML thing we can use. Placeholder is equal to enter a name. Every HTML thing we can add. When you delete, it will say enter a name. Every HTML things are valid here in Angular.
But we cannot add class, no? That is
It's
inbuilt in a pristine.
we can add class names also. In class, if you want to add form control, use a class name which will add extra functionality. It makes the input box bigger. So to achieve that, I can add some class name. On top of that, if I inspect, I should not see only one class. I should see four class. One is form control, then ng pristine, ng valid, ng touched. So on top of your class, Angular will add lot of other class names. If you want to add some class names, you can always add call sm2 I don't know if we can combine these two, but yeah. So whatever class names you want to use, you can use. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the next thing. How to set value, we understood.
So, sir, in this
How
case, we no need to pass that myform dot value, right, from the submit button, because we are doing two-way, right? User is always synced with the model.
yeah, that's true. That's true. User is always in sync with my form.value. If I print, let me print user information also here. This is my form and this is user. This is user, this is my form. Yeah, this is user, this is my form. When I do something, it gets updated in my form, it gets updated in user also. So either one should be fine. User will have only value, but my form will have more than value.
Yeah, additional things, other event
Yeah.
emitters and other things.
Yes. Event emitters, whether it is valid or not, touched or not, pristine or not, lot of things it will have.
Yes, sir.
Now we will understand how to validate template driven form. Validate means if I delete, it should show a message. Username is required. Username is a required field. I want such things. In that case, what I'll do after this input box, I'll add a span. I'll say first name is required and class name equal to text danger. First name is a required field. You see, this message is shown all the time, but I don't want to show this all the time. When I want to show, I want to show this when there is no data here. When there is no data. So what I'll do, I'll add a condition. If the template reference variable is fname dot has error. Has error is a predefined function. Has error required. If it has required problem, fname dot has error required. If it has required problem, show this. Does it have required problem? No. When I delete, it has required problem. When this input box is required problem, it shows this. But there is again one more problem. When I don't pass any value here, when I don't write any value here, on the page load only it is showing. Good UX.
No.
No, we need to
It should
check the
show.
touch.
It should show only when user touches that box, right?
Right.
Yes, touch check.
So to validate that, we can add another condition and first name dot dirty, right? If it is dirty and it has required problem, show this message. So it has required problem, but it's not dirty. Hence the error is not shown. User will go here, will type something. When deletes, it shows first name is required, right?
Yes.
When I type, it goes. Like this, I can add lot of messages. Fname.has error. If it has min length problem, this is a predefined word, has error. Fname, if it has min length problem, I will show this message. First name should be minimum or first name minimum 5 characters required. Now, this input box has a lot of issues, but it's not dirty. When I type, it becomes dirty and it has min length error. Now it has no error. Now it has min length error. Now it has required error. So accordingly, we are able to show the message. Any question here?
No.
So here we have added condition, and based on the conditions, the messages are shown. Is it clear?
And we should add all the defined reference variable, na? All the tags.
Yeah, we have to add it for every input box. I've done it for only one first name. We have to do it for every input box.
Otherwise, that will point to the same one. No?
Yeah, it will be different. It will be different. It will have
Last name and
a different ng model.
different template reference.
Then it will have L name, like this. So it is able to print Tendulkar. Now, if I want to add any error message here, it is the same thing. Span last name is required. So you will see this message all the time. You don't want to see this message all the time. Add a message, add a condition here. Ng if lname dot has error, if it has required problem, show this message. So when I delete, it shows that message. When I type, it goes.
For the email validation, if we want to write our own regular expression code, where should we write that one?
Our own
Yes.
or HTML's validation. HTML by default validates input name equal to email, type equal to email. So when we do this, automatically it will validate a lot of things. We will also understand how to add our custom email validator.
Or for any field, if we want to have our custom validation, some logic or something.
Yeah. We'll discuss that. That is there in our plan.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can simply add a condition here. The condition is see email is required. Email is required. So this is just a require validation. Give me a second. type email, user.email, name, email, ng model required. Now it should be email. Yeah. So email is required. It's saying, what if I don't want required validation? I want email validation. The type is email. That's all. So here, email pattern is not correct. So it's a required problem. When you go and type something, when we type something, input name equal to email, type is email, user.email, email equal to ng model required. It's like email dot has error email. Not sure what I'm missing. Angular template driven form email validation. The way we have done should be fine. Not sure what I'm missing.
In the input field, we can give pattern.
Okay, input type, name, ng model,
Pattern.
email,
Pattern. Yes.
pattern.
If we include that, then we are actually including a regex.
Then it is regex. What is email validation then? This one I'm missing. That's all. Yeah. The way we are adding required, right? The same way we have to add email. That's all. So adding this is enough. Email is required. You got it?
Yes.
This is required. Sometimes we miss a silly thing. Yeah, this is how we can validate the pattern. It's gone. Now the assignment is create a registration form. Your registration form should have at least one input box, one text area, one radio, one drop down. Try to add as many type of fields you can add. You will get to learn the things. Try to add a input box, add a text area, radio button, checkbox, drop down. Try to add at least 6-7 type of things. Submit and reset button with validation. So I'm expecting it from every one of you. Create a template driven form whose name is registration form. Add as many type of fields as you can. One is input box, second is drop down, third is radio button, checkbox, text area, input type, file, whatever you would like to add, better you add and add the validation also. This is the assignment for tomorrow. What all fields will be there inside that form? I don't mind. Try to cover everything. one text box, one radio button, one checkbox, one drop down, one text area, like that. Hope the requirement is clear, right? Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. See you tomorrow. We'll discuss
Thank you.
something new.
Bye.
Yeah.
Okay.